So let's get into the story about Beyonce. So apparently, there were two New York Times editors. I've seen them around because they've done podcasts, whatever. I'm trying to remember. There was something that they were talking about not too long ago where people were going in on them online. Well, apparently they got into it again because they came out with this list of celebrities, and Beyonce didn't appear on it. Now hold on, let me see who's on the list because I have the actual list here. So I'll start at the bottom. So their 30 greatest living legends list include the following. And it says, I'm gonna start at the bottom. So it's a Josh Osborne, Brandy Clark, and Shane McAnally. Then they have Stephen Merritt, Brian and Eddie Holland, Valerie Simpson. Well, where's Nick Ashford? Because wasn't he right on there too? That's Ashford and Simpson. Solid as a rock. And then they have Valerie. Oh yeah, Valerie Simpson. Romeo Santos. Really? You put him on there? He write the same ass music over and over and over again, but I guess he's a songwriter in y'all eyes. Um, Lucinda Williams, Fiona Apple, who ain't put out an album in like damn near 20 years. Diane Warren, who still ain't getting her respect over there at the Grammys, but I'm glad that y'all acknowledge her because she is an icon in regards of songwriting. Willie Nelson, Carole King, Paul Simon, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Dolly Parton, Lana Del Rey, Taylor Swift, Lionel Richie, Smokey Robinson, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Nile Rodgers, Stevie Wonder, Babyface, Bad Bunny, The Dream, Mariah Carey, Missy Elliott, Outkast, Kendrick Lamar, Young Thug, and number one is Jay-Z. So yeah, with all that being said, his wife didn't even make the list. Madonna didn't either. So I know that a lot of the Madonna fans were upset. But in regards to this whole situation, it said, and this is their 30 best writers alive list, by the way. And at first, I was, it was brought up a while ago, but I was trying to figure out what would be the angle. That's why I haven't really talked about it. What would be my in on wanting to bring this thing up? Because I didn't want to come on here and rant about a damn list. Oh, that shit is stupid. Then I got to sit and do full on research on writers who I think should have been on there. And I didn't feel like doing all that work, especially because there's a lot that goes into me putting these topics together, and I talk about a multitude of topics. So shout out to the internet for giving me the full 30 list that I could just talk about. But and using the Beyonce angle, I was like, okay, there's my way in on giving this a full conversation. So now the editors explained the reason Beyonce was not included on the list is that because they primarily view her as a performer, executive producer, and a curator rather than a writer. Now I do have the clip, and I was like, I definitely want y'all to hear from this. Shout out to Reddit because that's where I got the clip from. Hold on, because I want to make sure it doesn't play. That's the annoying part about these things is that the constant refreshing of the videos, and then I gotta do a whole pausation situation. I know y'all don't care about all the technical stuff, but yeah, we're gonna play this clip and then we're gonna come back and then we're gonna talk. Please hold.
Can you read this comment from Craig?
So this is Craig. Craig wrote, Beyonce left off because did her style of parentheses genius collaborative songwriting count her out? Her last 3 albums, Lemonade, Renaissance, and Cowboy Carter, are genre-bending American classics. Referencing American Requiem at this point would seem appropriate. Be interested in the thought process of the judges, please, period.
Those old ideas.
I can tell you mine.
Buried here. Yeah.
I think
Yeah, hold on, I'm trying to fix the. Okay, I think I got it.
think of Beyonce as a curator and an executive producer. I have heard
and performer.
And
Well,
of course,
performer.
the
Yes,
performer,
obvious, like
right.
the performer,
the performer,
yes,
of the moment. I agree with most of this comment. I think I've heard demos that Beyonce has sang. I see what she adds to them. She is Frank Sinatra. She is Frank Sinatra plus Quincy Jones plus Kanye West, another person I would put in this camp. Kanye West famously, infamously uses ghostwriters, uses ghost producers. Mm-hmm. He is the magician who can put all that stuff together. He can record a session with Justin Vernon, a session with Chief Keef, a Mike Dean guitar solo, put it all together. He is the maestro. He's a modern day composer. I'm open to the argument that that's another sort of postmodern songwriting.
Yes.
But that would have been expanding the definition for me one click further, and we didn't take it there.
Okay, so yeah, so oh wait, hold on now, I don't want that to play. But yeah, so that's basically everything he just said there. Last time I checked, I've said the same thing. Where especially when it comes to Kanye West. I've said that where it's just like, yeah, Kanye West is someone who is notorious for using ghost writers and ghost producers, all this other stuff. He comes and they bring him the beats, they bring him the lyrics, all this other stuff. He adds things in, takes things out, does his little whatever. And that is when you have a curator, someone who's really good at managing. And in a way, that's what kind of a producer is. You have your beat makers, you have your certain producers that do certain things. He's somebody that comes in and does the same thing, where it's like, oh, you hear something or somebody writes something, you get ideas, and you bounce them off each other. Now, does that make you a songwriter? No, that's somebody who's able to kind of bring things together and make it collectively to come up with something that other person that created didn't see. So I'm adding an extra layer or a little more seasoning to the gumbo, if you will. So I hate the fact that people don't put Kanye in the same thing, but I'm glad he said it because I've been saying this for years, and now it took this man to say it for all of a sudden to be like, okay, I think I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But let's also not mistaken the fact that, you know what, Beyonce has been called out in the past for taking credit for other people's work. So we're gonna talk about the things, we're gonna talk about it because we don't shy away from shit over here. We're gonna get into the meat and potatoes. So of course I had to write this when I wrote this article. So yeah, because there was somehow that, now she's been accused in the past of taking credit for writing some of her biggest hits, including Irreplaceable, which was written by Neo. And what he said was this. He said apparently Beyonce was at a show somewhere the night before the song came out, and she said, I wrote this for my girls, and then the song came on. He said the song is a co-write. I wrote the lyrics. I wrote all the lyrics. Beyonce helped me with the melodies and the harmonies and the vocal arrangement, and that makes it a co-write. Making my contribution and her contribution made the song, meaning my contribution, her contribution made the song what it is. The sexy love singer went on to explain, when I talk about let me love you, and I don't always speak on the other person that wrote the song with me. If you ask me, I did write Let Me Love You, I'm going to say, yeah, I did. She wasn't lying to discredit me. She wasn't trying to take any credit for me. Beyonce is not that kind of person. I know her personally, and I know that she wouldn't do me like that. I appreciate the love, but it wasn't that big a deal because it's like, yeah, they contributed in a lot of ways. She added her part, he added his part. But of course, people hear like, no, I wrote Irreplaceable. I wrote the lyrics. Therefore, people think that the only contribution you give to music is the lyric writing. It's like, no, I came with the harmonies and the melodies. So yeah, you get a songwriting credit. And yeah, in music, that is something that is included as part of the songwriting credit. I came with the sound, the melodies. I came with those other stuff to help elevate the song from what I originally heard in the demo. That is a credit. And I think people don't understand the amount of layers and stuff that goes into songwriting. It's not just I'm gonna sit down and write to the beat and that's considered it. It's so much more that goes into making music. Then also we had Tiffany Red, who came out against Beyonce in 2024, alleging that she and other major pop stars routinely take large percentages of publishing and songwriting credits on songs they did not actually write or produce, and wrote, my hope is that Act Two at Beyonce will hashtag pay songwriters a songwriter fee and mastered points and not take publishing or songwriting credit on any song she did not write. And then Diane Warren got in trouble online when she questioned how one of Beyonce's songs could feature 24 credited writers, tweeting, how can there be 24 writers on one song? Well, that's all the sample clearing and all the other stuff. That does get kind of, I'm like, well, goddamn, why is there so many names up in here? And then in 2014, Linda Perry called out Beyonce for changing one word on a song and getting the songwriting credit for it. Where someone asked Linda, how do you feel about Beyonce changing one word on a song and getting writing credit? Does that bother you as a songwriter? She said, well, ha ha ha, that's not songwriting, but some of these artists believe it wasn't, if it wasn't for them, your song would never get out there. So they take a cut just because they are who they are. But everyone knows the real truth, even Beyonce. She is talented, but in a completely different way. And then, of course, the discussions drew. There was a whole comparison with her and Taylor Swift, where one was like, "Yeah, totally. Beyonce is obviously credible, and Taylor isn't the singer dancer she is, but Beyonce isn't the writer that Taylor is." Two very talented women who with two very different vibes, who are only compared because they are both uber successful women in music. And that's why I said they do their own thing. Yeah, Taylor Swift tried to do the bells and whistles and the. That's why I call her Beyonce Knowles Carter Swift, because she be up there trying to do the whole Beyonce thing, which I don't think she should because you can't dance this. But she's a singer songwriter and gives you all the bells and whistles. Because yeah, after a while, sit up there strumming a guitar and standing there for that's going to get kind of boring. So she has to give you all the whole pomp and circumstance. Beyonce is not someone who plays an instrument. She is someone who is a good curator of music and will perform down. Where she gives you the hairography with the diva fans blowing and the fierce costumes, and gives you art with the mainstream pomp and circumstance, like the whole pop art type thing. So she's giving you that, or art pop, if you want to call it that. Um, now, yeah. So when I look at something like a Beyonce, no shade, but I just feel like, I see her as a great composer, a performer, and a visionary. And I do feel like in America, we have this tendency of going through this whole imposter syndrome situation where you look at certain celebrities and they feel like if you don't write your own music, then you are not a real artist. You are not a real songwriter. I hate that whole gatekeeping bullshit that a lot of people do. It's like, yeah, if you don't sit there and write your songs, you're not a real artist. Fuck you. First of all, not everybody can write a song. There are people who have ideas or hear a song and they're inspired. And it's like, you know what? I have an idea that I can take that song and make it your own. Whitney Houston has made an entire career, and Celine Dion has made a full on career singing other people's songs. I mean, I know Billy Porter is bitter because Celine Dion took one of his songs and one of his songs was given to her, and there's a whole story behind that. You got to look that up. But yeah, there's people out there. So my thing is with this list, as long as you love what she does and you like her music and it makes you feel a way, who gives a shit what two guys from the New York Times have to say? I mean, the opinion of these guys shouldn't matter. Now, I was curious when I was putting this together. I was like, I wonder what the people are saying, because I really wasn't seeing like if people had any opinions or whatever on it. But I did manage to find some people had some thoughts, and I believe it was on the Neighborhood Talk that had that information. So I'm gonna just go over there and see what the people are saying. I'm like, Jesus Christ, where is this story? Because it was something I was looking for. Okay, so let me close that. Let me close that. I was like, I don't want this to play. So let me pull this thing up and we'll just go through what the people are saying over there on the Neighborhood Talk. And then we can move on. So yeah, some people said the following. They said, one person said she don't write her music, and that's that. Let's not make a whole big thing about it. She has dozens of writers on her songs, and she gets credit as the singer. Another person said Michael Jackson isn't on the list, therefore this list means nothing. Well, Michael didn't write all his music either, but there were he did partake in a lot of like putting the songs and melodies and coming up with certain songs. So another person said she wrote Dangerously in Love at 17. That alone should put her on one song, says, really? One person said, this list holds no weight without Candy, R. Kelly, Neo, Jermaine Dupri. Stop playing. Yeah, where a lot of the black artists mentioned on there. And you can't just do 30 songwriters and think that that's enough, because it's not. Like, you have to, there needs to be more than just 30 people, which I think they knew by just curating it or zhuzhing it down to 30 people, that oh well, it'll start a big enough argument, because that's what they want with a lot of these stories. They want virality. They want to cause a commotion. They want to get you all riled up and feeling a way about some stuff. So, um, but anyway, let's go through some more. Another person mentioned Candy. Candy's not on there. They said Beyonce is good at predating people. If she borrowed a drum, you get credit. If she borrowed a la-di-da, you get credit. Look, she tried to give Khalees credit for Milkshake, even though she ain't even write that damn song. But Khalees went through a whole situation where she got mad at Beyonce for using her song without her permission. But I'm like, sis, this ain't even your. I mean, yeah, technically you sang the damn song, but you didn't write Milkshake. But I was trying to get you a credit just for using the la 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 part, because I guess you came up with that. But since you want to be cute, now we're just gonna have to make sure that I guess you're gonna go back to farming in Sudan or whatever the fuck in Africa she lived. So another person, I stopped reading the list at Young Thug. Well, Young Thug came in second, I believe. Yeah, I'm like, really? Who listens to Young Damn Thug? Another person said Beyonce wrote a lot of her early records, as well as most of records for Destiny's Child, especially the Survivor album. She's been in the game for 30 years. At some point, you realize you can't do it all yourself, and collaboration is key to keeping the same quality, which has clearly worked for her. But to denounce her ability as a songwriter when she has hit records that she wrote that have reached above the Billboard top 10 is crazy. So here's the thing. Like I said before, who cares? Like, it shouldn't matter whether or not, I mean, I'm not saying who cares, like who gives a shit, but who cares? Well, I guess I am. Who cares what these people think? As long as you love the music, as long as you love you're a fan of Beyonce and you know what she's contributed to the music and what she's contributed to your life. I honestly don't feel like this shit holds weight at all, and people shouldn't worry about um what's a bunch of damn critics think. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding these New York Times critics and their overall thoughts about this list? Do you agree with the list? Do you think they lost their damn mind with the people that they add up on here? So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below.